Captain Lee Min-jun stood on the bridge of the USS Blackstar and watched the stars burn. Outside the thick windows, he could see distant explosions lighting up space like deadly fireworks. Each flash meant another ship was dying. Each spark meant more people were gone forever. "Captain, we're getting emergency signals from the Altarian fleet," said Navigator Choi Ji-woo. Her voice was calm, but her hands shook as she worked at her controls. "They're asking for help. The Zephyrians hit them hard." Lee Min-jun closed his eyes for a moment. The Altarians were made of living crystal. They were beautiful, smart, and their ships could move faster than anything humans had ever built. If the Zephyrians were beating them, what chance did anyone have? "How many Altarian ships are left?" he asked. 3 out of 200, Choi Ji-woo replied quietly. The bridge went silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The Altarians had been fighting the Zephyrians for 6 months. They had the best technology in the galaxy. Locally Pasa, the Reckling the state. They had weapons that could tear holes in space itself. And now, they were almost gone. Chief Engineer Park So-young looked up from her station. "Sir, we're also getting reports from the Vorthan Empire. The energy beings they're retreating to their home dimension. They say the war is lost." Lee Min-jun felt a cold weight in his chest. The Vorthans were pure energy. They didn't even have physical bodies that could be hurt. If they were running away, things were worse than anyone had imagined. "What about the other species?" asked Weapons Officer Kim Tae-hyun. "The Kelari are evacuating their worlds. The Nexus Collective has gone dark. The Spiral Federation is asking Earth for permission to hide in human space." Park So-young read from her screen. Kim Tae-hyun made a bitter laugh. "They want to hide behind us? We're the weakest species in the galaxy. We can barely travel between stars without our ships falling apart." It was true, and everyone knew it. Humans were the newest species to join the galactic community. Their technology was thousands of years behind everyone else. Other species were polite about it, but Lee Min-jun had heard them talking. They called humans the stubborn ones, or the children who never learned. Human ships were slow and clumsy. Human weapons were simple and loud. Human computers could barely think compared to the amazing artificial minds that other species had built. Most aliens thought humans would never catch up to the rest of the galaxy. But now all those advanced species were running from something they couldn't fight. "Sir, incoming transmission from Earth Command," announced Communications Officer Han Yoo-jin. "Put it through," Lee Min-jun said. Admiral Park Jin-ho appeared on the main screen. The old man looked tired and worried. Behind him, Lee Min-jun could see people running around the command center. "Captain Lee, I won't lie to you. The situation is bad. The Zephyrians have destroyed or captured every major fleet in the galaxy. They're moving toward Earth now, and we estimate they'll arrive in 72 hours. Lee Min-jun felt his stomach drop. "What are our orders?" "Sir, your orders are simple. The Blackstar is our newest experimental ship. We built it using old human designs that other species told us to throw away. They said our methods were primitive and wasteful. Maybe they were right, but right now, you're our only hope." The Admiral paused and looked directly at Lee Min-jun through the screen. "I'm sending you coordinates for the Zephyrian Advance Fleet. Your mission is to slow them down. Give us time to evacuate as many people as possible." "How many Zephyrian ships are in the Advance Fleet?" asked Kim Tae-hyun. 50, the Admiral replied. The bridge went quiet again. 50 Zephyrian ships. The USS Blackstar was alone. "Sir," Lee Min-jun said carefully, "you know this is a suicide mission." Admiral Park Jin-ho nodded slowly. "I know, Captain, but you're the best crew we have, and the Blackstar is the strangest ship we ever built. If anyone can surprise the Zephyrians, it's you." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Lee Min-jun looked around at his crew. Park So-young was young but brilliant. She understood engines and weapons better than anyone. Kim Tae-hyun was loud and sometimes rude, but he could hit targets that other weapons officers said were impossible to hit. Choi Ji-woo could find paths through space that computers said didn't exist. Han Yu-jin could talk to anyone and make them trust him. They were all human. They were all supposedly primitive compared to the rest of the galaxy. And they were all probably going to die in the next few days. "Well," said Kim Tae-hyun, breaking the silence, "at least we'll go out with a bang." Park So-young smiled despite everything. The Blackstar was built to be different. Maybe different is what we need right now. 4. Lee Min-jun nodded. The USS Blackstar was different. While other species built ships using pure energy and crystal technology, humans still used metal and fire. Other species had computers that could think faster than living beings, but human ships still needed human crews to make decisions. The galaxy had been telling humans for decades that their way of building things was wrong. Too slow, too heavy, too unpredictable. Human emotions made them bad at following orders. Human creativity made them unreliable. Human stubbornness made them difficult to work with. Maybe all of that was true. But right now, all the logical, predictable, reliable species were losing the war. "Set course for the coordinates," Lee Min-jun ordered. "Take us to meet the Zephyrians." "Yes, sir," Choi Ji-woo replied, her hands steady now. As the Blackstar turned toward the enemy, Lee Min-jun watched the evacuation ships from other species flying past them. Hundreds of alien vessels, all running from something they couldn't beat. All hoping that the primitive humans might somehow buy them a little more time. He didn't know if they could win. He didn't even know if they could survive the first battle. But Lee Min-jun knew one thing for certain. The Zephyrians had never fought humans before. They didn't know what humans could do when they had nothing left to lose. The USS Blackstar flew toward the enemy fleet, carrying its crew into the unknown darkness of space. The first sign of trouble came from the sensors. Navigator Choi Ji-woo frowned at her screen and called out, "Captain, I'm picking up 3 unknown contacts near Jupiter Station." Lee Min-jun moved to stand behind her chair. "Zephyrian scouts? Has to be," said Kim Tae-hyun from the weapons station. "Nothing else out here moves like that." On the main screen, 3 dark shapes appeared against the starfield. They looked like drops of liquid metal, floating in space. As the crew watched, the ships began to change shape, stretching and flowing like they were alive. "They're scanning us," reported Han Yu-jin. "Very intense energy patterns. I've never seen anything like it." Chief Engineer Park So-young looked up from her station. "Sir, the readings are strange. It's like they're trying to understand how our ship works. They're examining every part of us." Lee Min-jun had heard about this from the emergency reports. The Zephyrians could look at any ship and immediately understand its technology. Then they could build defenses against it. Ships that had fought them said it was like fighting an enemy that became immune to your weapons while you were shooting. "They're moving toward us," announced Choi Ji-woo. "Battle stations," ordered Lee Min-jun. "Kim, prepare weapons. Park, give me everything the engines have got." The Zephyrian ships came closer. They moved in perfect formation, like dancers performing a deadly ballet. Their metal surfaces rippled and changed as they approached. "They're powering weapons," warned Kim Tae-hyun. "Energy signatures match what destroyed the Altarian fleet. All energy. Nude. Fire when ready," Lee Min-jun said. The Blackstar's weapons opened up with a thunderous roar. Unlike the silent energy beams that most species used, human weapons were loud and bright. Explosive missiles streaked toward the enemy ships, while heavy metal slugs fired from magnetic cannons. The Zephyrian ships immediately began to adapt. Their surfaces shifted and changed, creating barriers that should have stopped the human weapons. The missiles hit and exploded in brilliant flashes. The metal slugs struck the enemy hulls with tremendous force. But something was wrong. "Captain," called out Park So-young, excitement in her voice. Look at the enemy ships. The Zephyrian vessels were sparking. Electricity danced across their surfaces like trapped lightning. Their smooth movements became jerky and uncertain. One of the ships spun in a slow circle, as if its pilot was confused. What's happening to them? Asked Han Yu-jin. Kim Tae-hyun fired another volley of missiles. This time, the explosions tore holes in the Zephyrian ships. Metal fragments scattered in all directions. I don't understand, said Choi Ji-woo. The reports said they could adapt to any weapon. Park So-young was working frantically at her station, reading data from the battle. Captain, I think I know what's happening. The Zephyrians adapt by predicting how weapons work. But our weapons don't work the way they should. What do you mean? Lee Min-jun asked. Look at this. Park So-young put her readings on the main screen. Our missiles should have been stopped by their barriers. But we loaded them with old-fashioned explosives that create random shockwaves. Their computers can't predict chaos. Kim Tae-hyun grinned as he fired again. And our magnetic cannons use irregular firing patterns because I keep adjusting them during battle. I can't help it. It's a habit. Their systems expect consistent weapon behavior. The third Zephyrian ship tried to retreat. But Choi Ji-woo had already predicted where it would go. Not with computers or sensors, but with pure human intuition. She had felt what the enemy pilot would do next. Firing solution locked, called Kim Tae-hyun. Take the shot, ordered Lee Min-jun. The final enemy ship exploded in a shower of sparks and metal. The first Zephyrian ships destroyed by human weapons drifted dead in space. For a moment, the bridge was completely silent. Then Kim Tae-hyun let out a loud cheer. We did it! We actually did it! How is this possible? Wondered Choi Ji-woo. Park So-young was still studying the battle data. I think it's because we're human. Other species build weapons that work perfectly every time. They follow exact patterns and logical rules. The Zephyrians can study those patterns and defend against them. But human weapons are different, continued Park So-young. We build things that barely work. Our missiles explode a little differently each time. Our cannons need constant adjustment. Our tactics change because we get emotional during fighting. Lee Min-jun understood what she meant. Human technology was imperfect by galactic standards. Human crews made mistakes. Human emotions caused people to do unexpected things during battle. The other species were trying to be perfect, he said slowly. But the Zephyrians can only defend against perfect weapons and perfect tactics. Exactly, Park So-young pointed to her screen. They can't adapt to chaos. They can't predict what we'll do next because we don't even know what we'll do next. Kim Tae-hyun was already loading new weapons. Well, in that case, let's go find more of them. I want to see what happens when I really let loose. Captain, Han Yu-jin announced, I'm getting messages from the evacuation fleets. They saw the battle. They want to know how we survived. Lee Min-jun looked around at his crew. Park So-young was smiling as she worked on making their weapons even more unpredictable. Kim Tae-hyun was humming an old Earth song while he checked his targeting systems. Choi Ji-woo was plotting a course that used her instincts instead of navigation computers. For the first time since the war started, Lee Min-jun felt something he had almost forgotten. Hope. Tell the evacuation fleets that humans fight differently, he said. Tell them we don't fight the way we're supposed to. We fight the way we feel like fighting. Should I explain our tactics? Asked Han Yu-jin. No, Lee Min-jun replied. Don't explain anything. Let the Zephyrians wonder what hit them. The USS Blackstar moved deeper into space, leaving the wreckage of 3 enemy ships behind. For the first time in the war, the Zephyrians had been completely surprised. They had faced something they couldn't understand or predict. They had faced humanity at war. As they flew toward their next battle, Kim Tae-hyun started telling jokes over the communication system. Park So-young began singing while she worked. Choi Ji-woo made course corrections based on what felt right, rather than what the computers recommended. It was chaos. It was unprofessional. It was completely against military regulations. And it was exactly what they needed to win this war. Word spread quickly through the evacuation fleets. One human ship had destroyed 3 Zephyrian scouts. It seemed impossible. But the wreckage, floating near Jupiter Station, proved it was true. Captain Lee Min-jun read the incoming messages with growing amazement. Species that had barely spoken to humans before were now asking for help. The Kellery wanted to know human battle tactics. The remaining Altarians begged for any information about human weapons. "Captain," said Communications Officer Han Yu-jin, "we're getting a priority message from Admiral Park Jin-ho." The Admiral appeared on the screen, but this time he was smiling. "Captain Lee, I don't know what you did out there, but every alien species in the galaxy is talking about it. How did you defeat Zephyrian ships?" "We didn't do anything special, sir," Lee Min-jun replied. "We just fought the way humans fight." "And what way is that?" Lee Min-jun looked around at his crew. Kim Tae-hyun was cleaning his weapons while humming loudly. Park So-young was rebuilding part of their missile system because she had gotten a new idea. Choi Ji-woo was practicing navigation runs that made no logical sense but felt right to her. "We fight like we're having fun, sir." Admiral Park Jin-ho raised an eyebrow. "Fun?" "Yes, sir. Kim jokes around during battles. Park keeps changing our weapons because she gets excited about new ideas. Choi plots courses based on her feelings instead of computers. We don't follow the rules because we don't always remember what the rules are." The Admiral was quiet for a moment. "Captain, I'm sending you new orders. We've located a major Zephyrian battle group heading for the core worlds. 20 ships, including what appears to be a command vessel. Your mission is to engage and disrupt their advance." 20 ships? Kim Tae-hyun called out from his station. "Sir, that sounds like a party." Lee Min-jun tried to look serious, but he was smiling too. "We'll handle it, Admiral." After the transmission ended, the crew began preparing for their next battle. But this time, they did things differently. Instead of following standard procedures, they let themselves be human. Park So-young started rebuilding their weapons to be even more unpredictable. "I'm making the missile warheads different sizes," she explained. "Some big, some small, some medium. The explosions will be random." "Good idea," said Kim Tae-hyun. "I'm programming the targeting system to miss on purpose sometimes, then hit when they don't expect it." Choi Ji-woo was working on flight patterns that looked like mistakes, but were actually clever traps. "If we fly like we're scared, they might come closer. Then we can surprise them." As they traveled toward the enemy fleet, strange things began happening to the crew. They started working together in ways that didn't make sense but somehow worked perfectly. Kim Tae-hyun would start humming a song, and Park So-young would time her weapon modifications to match the rhythm. Choi Ji-woo would change course based on the mood of the music. Han Yu-jin would send messages to other ships using the same emotional tone. "Captain," observed Park So-young, "we're not thinking about what we're doing anymore. We're just feeling it." Lee Min-jun nodded. Other species try to remove emotions from warfare. They want everything to be logical and predictable. But maybe emotions are what make us strong. When they found the Zephyrian battle group, it was bigger than expected. 25 ships moved in perfect formation toward a system where billions of aliens lived. The command ship was massive, covered in weapons that could destroy planets. "Battle stations," ordered Lee Min-jun. "Remember, we're not trying to be perfect. We're trying to be human." The Blackstar dove toward the enemy fleet. Kim Tae-hyun opened fire with everything they had, but he didn't aim for critical systems like military manuals taught. Instead, he aimed for whatever felt right in that moment. Missiles scattered in all directions, creating a web of explosions that made no tactical sense. Some hit enemy ships, others exploded harmlessly in space. The pattern was completely random, and the Zephyrian ships couldn't understand it. Their formation is breaking up, reported Choi Ji-woo. They're trying to adapt, but they can't predict where our next shot will go. Park So-young had rigged the ship's engines to change speed unpredictably. Sometimes they went fast, sometimes slow, sometimes they stopped completely for no reason. The Zephyrian targeting systems couldn't lock onto them. "This is working," laughed Kim Tae-hyun as he fired another volley. "They have no idea what we're doing, because we have no idea what we're doing." The battle became something beautiful and terrifying. The USS Blackstar danced through space like it was alive, dodging enemy fire through pure instinct. Human weapons created patterns of light and destruction that looked like art instead of warfare. Other species who were watching the battle couldn't believe what they were seeing. The humans were treating one of the most serious battles in galactic history like a game. They were laughing, singing, and making jokes while fighting for their lives. But it was working. Zephyrian ships began to malfunction as their adaptation systems overloaded. They had been designed to counter logical threats, but human chaos broke their programming. One by one, enemy vessels began to retreat. "The command ship is running," announced Choi Ji-woo. "Should we pursue?" "No," said Lee Min-jun. "Let them go. Let them tell the other Zephyrians what they saw here." As the enemy fleet retreated, messages poured in from across the galaxy. Other human ships were requesting permission to use chaos tactics. Alien species were asking to study human emotional responses during combat. "Captain," said Han Yu-jin, "we're getting a message from an Altarian captain. She says her surviving crew wants to learn how to fight with feelings instead of logic." Park So-young looked up from her station. "Sir, what if we're not just winning battles? What if we're starting a revolution in how warfare works?" Lee Min-jun thought about that. For thousands of years, galactic civilization had moved toward more logic, more control, more predictability. They had tried to remove the chaos of biological emotions from everything, including war. But maybe that was exactly what the Zephyrians had been counting on. "Set course for Earth," he ordered. "We need to talk to Admiral Park Jin-ho. I think we just discovered something that could change this war completely." The USS Blackstar turned toward home, leaving behind the wreckage of the most organized military formation in Zephyrian history. Behind them, space glittered with the debris of ships that had been defeated not by superior technology, but by the simple human refusal to fight the way they were supposed to fight. Earth orbit was crowded with ships from across the galaxy. Vessels that had never been seen in human space before now floated near the space stations like strange metal flowers. Altarian crystal ships sparkled next to Kalari biovessels. Even some Vorthan energy beings had returned from their dimension to watch what was happening. Captain Lee Min-jun stood in the main briefing room on Luna Base, facing an audience he never could have imagined. Admirals from Earth sat next to alien commanders who had traveled thousands of light years to hear what humans had learned about fighting the Zephyrians. "The principle is simple," Lee Min-jun explained to the mixed crowd of humans and aliens. "The Zephyrians can adapt to any logical military strategy, but they cannot adapt to chaos." An Altarian captain, her crystal body glowing softly blue, spoke with a voice like singing bells. "Captain Lee, our species has spent millions of years perfecting logical warfare. How can chaos be more effective than precision?" Park So-young stepped forward. "Because chaos is alive. Logic is predictable. When Kim fires our weapons, he doesn't aim where the computer tells him to aim. He aims where he feels like the shot should go." "This is madness," declared a Kalari commander, his insect-like features twitching with confusion. "Emotions lead to mistakes. Mistakes lead to defeat." Kim Tae-hyun grinned. "That's exactly what the Zephyrians thought. And that's why they're losing now." Admiral Park Jin-ho activated a holographic display showing battle statistics. "In the past week, human ships using emotional combat tactics have won 15 engagements against Zephyrian forces. Our success rate has gone from 0% to 93%. The aliens in the room began talking among themselves in dozens of different languages. Some seemed excited, others worried. "But how do we learn to fight with emotions?" asked a young Vorthan being whose energy form flickered with confusion. "My species abandoned biological feelings eons ago. We exist as pure thought." Choi Ji-woo spoke up. "Maybe that's the problem. You abandoned the part of yourselves that the Zephyrians can't understand." "She's right," added Han Yu-jin. "The Zephyrians study logical species and build defenses against them. But they've never encountered a species that makes decisions based on how they feel in the moment." An elderly Nexus representative, her mechanical body clicking as she moved, leaned forward. "Are you suggesting that all galactic civilization has been developing in the wrong direction?" Lee Min-jun nodded slowly. "Maybe. For thousands of years, everyone has been trying to become more logical, more efficient, more predictable. But predictability is exactly what makes you vulnerable to the Zephyrians." "So what do you propose?" asked the Altarian captain. "We propose that you learn to be illogical," said Park So-young. "We can teach your crews to make emotional decisions, to trust their instincts instead of their computers." The briefing room erupted in discussion. Some species were fascinated by the idea, others were horrified. The concept of deliberately making emotional decisions went against everything they had learned about proper civilization. "This could work," said a Kalari officer. "My people have suppressed our hive emotions for centuries. Perhaps it's time to let them return." "This is Redder. The restart from Eventold. I remember the turns. And the Vorthan could relearn physical sensations," added the energy being. "We still remember what it felt like to have bodies and emotions." Admiral Park Jin-ho held up his hand for silence. "The plan is this. Any species that wants to learn human chaos tactics can send volunteer crews to train with our ships. We'll teach them to fight with their hearts instead of their heads." Over the following days, something amazing happened. Alien crews began arriving at human bases to learn emotional warfare. Altarian crystal beings practiced getting angry during battle. Kalari insects learned to trust their gut feelings instead of logical analysis. Even some Vorthan energy forms tried to remember what physical excitement felt like. The USS Blackstar became a training ship, teaching alien crews how to fight like humans. It was the strangest sight in galactic history. Advanced civilizations learning how to be primitive again. "The key is to stop thinking," Kim Tae-hyun explained to a group of mixed alien weapons officers. "When you see a target, don't calculate the best firing solution. Just shoot where it feels right." "But what if we miss?" asked a nervous Kalari. "Then you miss." Kim shrugged. "Missing is part of chaos. Sometimes, missing the first shot makes your second shot more effective, because the enemy doesn't expect it." Park So-young was teaching engineering crews how to make their ships less perfect. "Add random delays to your systems," she explained. "Make your engines hiccup sometimes. Build weapons that work differently each time you use them. This violates every principle of good engineering," complained an Altarian engineer. "Exactly." Park So-young smiled. "Bad engineering is unpredictable engineering. The Zephyrians can't adapt to systems that don't work properly." The mixed fleet began conducting practice battles using chaos tactics. Human ships worked alongside alien vessels that were learning to embrace controlled madness. It was messy, loud, and completely unorganized. It was also devastatingly effective. When the first reports came in that the combined fleet had destroyed an entire Zephyrian squadron without losing a single ship, celebrations erupted across the galaxy. Species that had been fleeing in terror just weeks before were now volunteering to join the chaotic human-led fleet. "Captain," Han Yu-jin announced, "we're receiving a message from the main Zephyrian fleet. They're requesting." "Negotiations?" Lee Min-jun looked surprised. "The Zephyrians want to talk?" The holographic message showed a Zephyrian commander, its metal features shifting and flowing. When it spoke, its voice sounded confused and almost afraid. "Human vessels, We do not understand your combat methods. Our analysis systems cannot process your tactical behavior. You fight in ways that our science says should result in your immediate defeat, yet you continue to win. We wish to understand this phenomenon. Should we respond? Asked Choi Ji-woo. Lee Min-jun thought for a moment. Send them this message. We fight with our hearts. You cannot analyze hearts with machines. As the message went out to the Zephyrian fleet, the mixed human-alien fleet prepared for what everyone knew would be the final battle. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species, all united by the strange human idea that chaos could defeat order. Looking out at the diverse fleet, Lee Min-jun realized that humanity hadn't just found a way to win the war. They had taught the galaxy something important about the value of being imperfect, emotional, and beautifully unpredictable. The universe was about to learn what happened when chaos met order in the ultimate battle. The final battle began at dawn on Earth, though in space there was no real dawn. Captain Lee Min-jun stood on the bridge of the USS Blackstar and watched the largest fleet in galactic history spread out before him. 2,000 ships from dozens of species, all flying together in the most beautifully chaotic formation ever created. Captain, the Zephyrian main fleet is approaching, announced Navigator Choi Ji-woo. Their numbers are significant. On the main screen, the enemy appeared like a dark storm cloud made of metal. 5,000 Zephyrian ships moved in perfect mathematical formations. Their vessels flowed and shifted like liquid mercury, each one adapting its shape for maximum combat efficiency. Well, said Weapons Officer Kim Tae-hun, at least we'll have plenty of targets. Chief Engineer Park So-young looked up from her station, grinning. Sir, all ships in the fleet are reporting ready. The Altarians say their crystal hearts are beating with excitement for the first time in 1,000,000 years. The Kellery have released their hive emotions and are practically vibrating with anticipation. And the Vorthan? Asked Lee Min-jun. They've manifested temporary physical forms just so they can experience the thrill of combat, laughed Park So-young. I think we've created monsters. Communications Officer Han Yu-jin received incoming messages from across the mixed fleet. Captain, all ship commanders are requesting permission to engage using full chaos protocols. Lee Min-jun nodded. Tell them they are free to fight however they feel like fighting. No formations, no coordinated attacks, no logical strategies, just pure, beautiful chaos. The battle began unlike any conflict in galactic history. Instead of organized battle lines, the mixed fleet attacked in a swirling storm of individual ships, each one following its crew's emotional instincts. Human vessels dove straight into the enemy formation, their crews laughing and shouting as they fired weapons that worked differently every time. Altarian crystal ships sang battle songs that made their hulls ring like giant bells, while they shot rainbow beams of light that changed color based on the pilot's mood. Kilari bioships released clouds of insects that attacked Zephyrian vessels with the chaotic fury of angry hives. Vorthan energy beings manifested as brilliant flames that danced through space, burning enemy ships with the raw power of reborn emotions. The Zephyrians tried to adapt, but they faced an impossible task. How do you counter a strategy that has no strategy? How do you predict the behavior of crews who are making decisions based on how they feel in each moment? Their adaptation systems are overloading, reported Park So-young as she watched the battle data. They're trying to process thousands of different fighting styles simultaneously. Kim Tae-hyun fired another volley of completely random shots. Some of his missiles exploded early, some late, some not at all. The pattern was so chaotic that it confused even him. I have no idea what I'm doing, and it's working perfectly. 2. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out on every ship. Alien crews who had spent millennia perfecting logical combat were now screaming with joy as they fired weapons based on pure instinct. The galaxy's most advanced civilizations were fighting like excited children, and they were winning. Captain, called Choi Ji-woo, the Zephyrian command ship is trying to retreat. Let's go have a conversation with them, Lee Min-jun said. Take us in close. The USS Blackstar spiraled through the battle toward the massive Zephyrian command vessel. Around them, the Chaos Fleet was systematically destroying enemy ships through sheer unpredictability. Every time the Zephyrians thought they understood a new attack pattern, the attacking ship would change tactics for no logical reason. "Incoming transmission from the Zephyrian commander," announced Han Yujin. The alien appeared on screen, its metal features shifting rapidly as its systems struggled to process what was happening. "Human captain, we surrender. We cannot fight an enemy that has no pattern. Your chaos is beyond our ability to counter." "Why did you attack us in the first place?" Li Minjun asked. "We conquer species by understanding their technology and tactics, then building superior versions. Every civilization we encountered followed logical patterns that we could analyze and defeat. But you fight with no logic at all." Park So-young stepped forward. "That's because logic isn't the only way to solve problems. Sometimes, the best answer is the one that doesn't make sense." The Zephyrian commander's features stopped shifting. "We have learned something today. Perhaps there is wisdom in chaos that we never understood." "There's wisdom in everything," said Kim Tae-hyun. "Logic, chaos, emotions, calculations. The trick is knowing when to use each one." "We will withdraw from galactic space," the Zephyrian commander announced. "We must return to our home regions and reconsider our understanding of warfare and civilization." As the Zephyrian fleet began its retreat, cheers erupted across the mixed fleet. Ships from dozens of species celebrated together, their crews having learned something valuable about the power of controlled chaos. "Captain," said Han Yujin, "we're receiving congratulations from across the galaxy. The war is over." Li Minjun looked around at his crew. They were exhausted, but happy, having fought the strangest and most successful battle in human history. "What happens now?" asked Choi Ji-woo. "Now we go home," Li Minjun replied. "But I think the galaxy has changed. Species are going to start learning from each other in new ways. The Altarians want to study human emotional decision-making. The Kalari are interested in chaos engineering. The Vorthans want to explore the relationship between feelings and combat effectiveness." End quote. Park So-young nodded. "We've shown everyone that there's strength in being imperfect, in making mistakes, in following your heart instead of your computer." As the USS Blackstar turned toward Earth, Li Minjun reflected on what they had accomplished. Humanity hadn't won the war by becoming more like other species. They had won by teaching other species that it was okay to be more like humans. The galaxy had spent thousands of years trying to eliminate chaos, emotion, and unpredictability from civilization. But those weren't weaknesses to be overcome. They were strengths to be celebrated. "Captain's log," Li Minjun said into the recorder. "The war with the Zephyrians has ended in victory for the Galactic Alliance. But more importantly, we have learned that the qualities that make each species unique are not flaws to be corrected. They are gifts to be shared." He paused and looked out at the stars, where ships from across the galaxy were flying together in formations that made no logical sense but felt absolutely right. The USS Blackstar entered this war as humanity's last desperate hope. "We end it as proof that sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be yourself." The battle was over. The war was won. And the galaxy would never be the same again because they had learned the most human lesson of all. That chaos, when shared with friends, becomes something beautiful.